to be talking about one very successful, just crashed and burned, and I'm going to talk a little bit about each of them, and then, well, the reasons for their success or lack of. And if you have any questions, we're going to talk. The successful one was Walt Disney and Marvel, and it's been one of the most successful purchases Disney has ever made since Pixar. It began in 2009 when Disney acquired Marvel for $4.3 billion, which was the biggest purchase Disney has ever made since they bought Pixar for $7.6 billion in 2006. Their profits, well, they skyrocketed after they started with the movies. Their shares were up 40% in the last 5 years. So since they bought Marvel 5 years later, it was almost half double. And yeah, the profits doubled. Here we can see some of the movies that Marvel made with Disney, which is the Avengers, which is, as Renee said, was an incredibly successful movie. And also Captain America and Thor and Guardians of the Galaxy, which the Phase 1, Phase 2, and Phase 3 movies that Marvel is making, now owned by Disney. And this is a quote of the Chief Executive Officer of the Walt Disney Company that clearly says why it worked out. And this transaction combines Marvel's strong global brand and world-renowned library of characters with Disney creative skills, of parallel global portfolio of entertainment properties, and a business structure that maximizes the value of creative properties across multiple platforms and territories. This basically says that, okay, Marvel has the characters and the stories that people know and people love, and Disney has the resources to make it happen. They have the creative skills, they have the business structure to make these giant movies and make them a success. And they take into consideration the people, which people love them, and that's why Disney is making them. And on the other hand, we have a very unsuccessful business merger that was Skype and eBay. It started in 2005 when eBay bought Skype for $2.6 billion. Well, it's weird when you think about it. Why would eBay want to buy Skype? Well, they wanted to improve the communications between the sellers and the buyers, and they wanted it to be more personal and easy. They could be talking by telephone or by video camera, but it just crashed. And we can see that some of the reasons for its failure was that basically people didn't want it. They didn't want it and they didn't need it. They were fine just communicating through email because that was easy, and it started in 2005 when eBay bought Skype for $2.6 billion. Well, it's weird when you think about it. Why would eBay want to buy Skype? Well, they wanted to improve the communications between the sellers and the buyers, and they wanted it to be more personal and easy. They could be talking by telephone or by video camera, but it just crashed. And we can see that some of the reasons for its failure was that basically people didn't want it. They didn't want it and they didn't need it. They were fine just communicating through email because that was easy, and it made the purchase too personal when having to video Skype or just talk through telephone, because the clients didn't want that and the buyers and the sellers didn't want that either. So they didn't take into consideration what the people needed or wanted. They just thought it would work out, and it obviously didn't. And also we can see that eBay is a very conservative company. It's almost punk-like, while Skype is the opposite of it. It's too liberal. It's all through communication, through camera and telephone, and it made it all completely different to the ideology that eBay had, and those ideologies just didn't work out. And in conclusion, we can see that Disney Marvel was a great combination because they had exactly the resources that the other one needed. They had the characters, and then they had the means to make the movie happen. They knew that people loved the movies and loved the characters, and that's why it was a success. While eBay and Skype was the opposite. They didn't take into consideration what the people needed or wanted, and it just crashed them.